Hello and welcome to a new series of citiesabc.com and our video podcast that I'm hosting for some time. My name is Dinesh Guarda. It's a pleasure to be here and talk with leading personalities and authors, entertainments and experts in a lot of different areas. And we are talking about the future of cities, the future of humanity, but as well what makes any individual story powerful, and as well what drives us to make a better world or to achieve results. citiesabc.com was created as a platform to highlight the challenge we're facing in cities. Most of the world population lives in cities. We are facing a lot of challenges, but as well a lot of wonderful things are happening. And sometimes we only look at the ones that are less positive. And I think one very important thing, and that's the reason why we're doing this series of interviews and profiles, is that the most important thing are the histories of the people that inspire us. These histories, these narratives make us who we are, and as well create narratives for entire cities, for countries, for nations, for the world. And today we have with us someone that it's an honor to have, and as well someone that is very special in a lot of different ways. So we have Javed Jaffrey. You can, hello, thank you for being here. And I'll just ask a couple notes about you. So you are all Bollywood royalty, and as well as someone that has been looking in a lot of different things as an Indian actor, voice actor, dancer, comedian, impressionist, known for your work in several Bollywood films and Indian television. Your father is a comedian as well, quite well known. And you joined the Aam Aadmi Party in 2014, and as well you have a political career in this area. You've been as well being credited as the first breakdancer in India, and which is an achievement as well, interesting. And as well someone that is, for more the people I've been talking, and as well now you have your first generation with your son as well, emerging in Bollywood, but as someone that is very human, with a fantastic sense of integrity of society, and as well a sense of responsibility and the relationships between the entertainment industry, but as well the humanity part of that industry. And we are in a very special moment with COVID-19, with a lot of things being transformed, and a huge part of the entertainment industry is right now working from home. So I'm actually looking forward for this, and during the interview, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, about a lot of the films you did, but I will pass the word to you. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a big honor.
Oh, thank you. It's always interesting to meet and listen to people from across the world and have a perspective which you can learn from. So I learn from you something, you'll probably learn something from me. So these exchanges are important. Yes.
Completely. So, so Javed, in terms of, I would like to start. My first question is so you definitely, your father is quite famous as well, and you've been having a strong background in Bollywood. So, can you tell us a bit about your background and family and education, and how did you start your career?
So, well, I was born in Bombay, which is now known as Mumbhai. And I grew up in a very cosmopolitan suburb called Bandra. The very interesting part there, maybe for the West is not so different, but in India, it's now very different to what I grew up with and what it is now, especially in the educational system. So I went to a school which was a Catholic Christian parish school, and a lot of schools in my suburb, in fact, in Mumbai, a lot of the contribution of the Christian parish institutions in the educational sector is very, very big. So we owe them a lot, and a lot of education, in especially like bigger cities. So I went to a school called Saint Teresa, and the best part was, so I'm sitting on a bench with a boy to my right whose father is a surgeon, and he lives in a skyscraper. And to my left is a boy whose father works in the municipality and as a and he lives in a slum. So I have two opposite segments of society sitting with me on the same bench, and that today my kids don't have, especially in a place like Bombay, because the educational system has become categorized economically. So you have schools with X amount of fees and schools with X amount of fees. So if you're going to an X amount of an X school which has a fee structure which is expensive, you will miss the strata of society and friends from the other segment, and which didn't happen in my case because when I was brought up, we paid a very nominal fee and everybody could afford, like I said. So the slum dweller and the skyscraper went to the same school because there was not so much of a disparity in education then. Now it has become IB and this and international schools. So everybody wants to put their kids into the best schools. And the kids miss out on this homogeneity, this kind of, mixing. And it's, I think, amazing. Which now my kids don't have that. So I grew up with that kind of a background and friends like that with different religions, and it was beautiful. And my father was when I grew up, when I was growing up, he was a well-known comedian, although he started as a child actor. My father was 9 or 10 when he started an acting career. And his story is another fantastic story. It's like when the partition happened, India, Pakistan, he went through the worst of it. He saw the worst of it, all the killings and bloodshed as a child. And when he came, his father expired before that. So him and his mother, a very traditional Eastern so-called or Muslim home-bred lady, and this boy who's 9, 10 years old, and they come to Bombay and they're on the streets and they've lost everything they have, and they have to start life from scratch, coming from a good family with a good background and well-to-do. So now they start their life from scratch, from literally on the street, on what we call a footpath or what you call a pavement. And he started his life, and movies happened because of a necessity. It was like not so much of a choice. At that age, it was all about, can I make a living and feed myself and my mother? And at the age of 10, you have to think of that. So he grew up and he came into the movies just by chance because he could speak Urdu well, which is the language we speak here. And in the Bollywood film, actually Bollywood is a strange term. I don't like that term. It's a Hindi movie, Indian film. So in the Hindi movies, he came in and he made his mark as a child actor. He had never seen a movie before in his life, but he had to survive. So he became a child actor. He became a hero, like a leading man. And from there, he went on to become a comedian in the film industry. When I grew up, he was a comedian. But I saw his other work and I thought he was amazing. So probably some things came down to me genetically. He did not force something down on me saying you have to be an actor, nothing. He just gave me a good education and said, make your way and see what you want to be. So I went to college. I was in science for the first 2 years, what you call high school. I was good. I was a good student. And then I wanted to go to America. My uncle was there and my father didn't want me to go. So I stayed put. And then I started getting interested on stage, like all the activities and the dramatics and the fun stuff. So after the high school, age 12, I shifted to arts when it was philosophy, psychology, history. And I finally kind of did my graduation in the entire psychology, what we call a major. But by that time, I was well into being an entertainer, dancing, but a bit of modeling, a bit of theater. So I was already there and I didn't know, I had no plans for my future. It just beckoned. Then so I got an offer and somebody called me from the industry saying, would you like to act in a film? And I was like, okay, fine. Same thing happened with my father. And it happened to me. It's not that I used my father. My father didn't tell me, now here's my son, please take him in a film. No, I had won the All India, it was called the All India Freestyle Disco Dancing Championship. So I won that in 82, 83 or whatever. And then they wanted a very good dancer in this particular film, which I am speaking about, called Mary Jung. And so I was launched as a bad guy, the villain in that film. But he's a bad guy who dances very well. It didn't happen in Hindi movies. Only the hero, the good guys dance. The bad guys don't dance. So this was a kind of an aberration in a way that, away from the norm. So I was the first bad guy who danced very well. And then my career took off from there. And then I flowed with the current wherever it took me. Like I said, I didn't know. I didn't have definite goals or aims that this is what I be, what I want to do. Life just took me, like it did to my father. Destiny. I believe in that in a way. Yes, you have to work hard, you have to give it your best. But there is something called destiny, and when you look back, like it's very interesting. Uh, the guy from I forget his name, Apple, the guy who.
Steve
Uh,
Jobs, yeah.
yes, so Steve Jobs. I remember one of his speeches. He said, when you look back and you realize some things happened which you didn't think about, and then the dots connect. And that word which says the dots connected. When you really look back and say, I did this, why I did this, this person called me here, I went there, I did, and they all connect somewhere to where you are today. And it's quite amazing that the dots do connect. If you are genuine in your heart and you're working hard, your intention is good, somewhere they'll connect. So yeah, so that's what happened to me, and here I am. I've been in the industry now 35 years, and if you combine advertising, then I've been in the industry for 40 years. So yes, that's my story.
Well, that's a beautiful story, and it's of course you did amazing things. So one of the things that I want to touch is from your background, and it's really fantastic that although your father was quite well known, he gave you freedom to choose your own path. But as well, it's quite interesting to see you mentioned that when you grew up, that you could see all the different society differences that were part of India, and that's what made as well India. And now that is not so present. There's a different cleavage in terms of special of education. So India changed a lot in the last 40 years. India right now is becoming the second wealthiest country in the world, and as well with all the disparities is by far one of the biggest civilizations, let's put it that way, even in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if you look at the history, India is, if you look at everything, whether it's science, mathematics, it's been an originator in a lot of things. We invented a lot of things which were taken further by the Arab scientists and then the European scientists, and we have the modern mathematics or modern science. But the origin a lot of them came from India. And the disparity you find in India, which is what I love, like I went to a school like that, but that is India. You will not find it anywhere. The amount of uh, languages, religions, uh, music, uh, dance, food, clothing, everything. The kind of disparity India has, no one country has this kind of a disparity ever. And with so many people, so many faiths living together in harmony, well, politics sometimes tries to make it disharmonious by using religion in a negative way, which is kind of happening now. But yes, the beauty of this country is amazing, and I hope it stays that way after whatever is happening. So, yeah.
So one of the things I would like to touch is in the last 4 decades, of course, India went through a massive development, and they went from a former British colony to become one of the powerhouses worldwide. But as well, one thing that happened is Bollywood right now, which is an industry that you've been actually critical and as well one of the biggest personalities, became as well a global powerhouse. I think we cannot underestimate the Indian industry or the Indian film industry, like you call it. It's right now by far the biggest industry in the world in terms of entertainment. And it's not just in India, for instance. If you see right now, it's all over the world. This Middle East. You have even in Dubai, Bollywood Park. You have from all
Yeah.
Asia and Africa and so forth. So how do you see as well that evolution in the last 4 decades of both India and Bollywood in parallel?
See, like they say, art reflects life, life reflects art, and that applies. Films do reflect what's happening around you, how society progresses. So films reflect that in a way, and a lot of things which happen in film, like fashion, uh, attitudes, sometimes films can influence people. So there is a interdependence. Like there's a fun statement I used to make, and I used to say it in Hindi. In Hindi, it was, uh, so I'll translate it. Like the Indian people are very attached to two things. One is Ma and one is cinema. So that's a rough translation. So cinema had a huge, or still has a huge impact because there was a lot of there was not education was not on a high level. There was a lot of illiteracy in this country. We still don't have education on the level it should be. Maybe a few states do have high levels of education, like Kerala, which has, I think, 100% literacy, but a lot of states don't. So cinema became something which connected this people, this country together through its songs and dances and its common value system, which India valued. So I think these elements in cinema brought people together and influenced people. And also it was an escape because there was so much of reality in their faces in India. See, when you're sitting down there watching, I have no food, I'm living in despicable conditions, don't have a job. So when I go into a cinema, I go with a mindset that for that 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm going to sit in this hall and forget my problems. I want you to take me on a ride and make me forget what my reality is. And that is what you call Bollywood. That's what it did to a larger extent, that it made you forget your reality for those 2 hours or 3 hours. And that contribution became a big connection and a link for the people, because for them, cinema became, this is my way out. This is my cocaine. This is my morphine, whatever you call it. And, for me, and I love the people. I love the stories they tell me. And sometimes the stories reflected real life around them. And sometimes it was purely escape, which became later after the 80s. It changed. It became more of an aspirational, escapist fare, while the movies of the 60s and the 50s, 60s, until maybe the 70s, they were a lot to do with what's happening, reflecting society. The leading people were people who are real folks, like a clerk in an office, or a police officer, or a doctor, or a lawyer. Then it started changing in the 90s onwards. It became more aspirational. It became more, the NRI, which is a non-resident Indian, and there was a shift. But we'll come to that topic later. But I'm saying, like I said, Bollywood and what it gives, what it means to Indian people is really a big thing. Indian cinema, not just Bollywood, because we have the South Indian cinema, we have the East Indian cinema. So I think East India has the South India has a very big. It's got 4 major languages: Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam. So all 4 of them have got their own film industries, and it's very strong in the South. Like Hindi, which is what they call Bollywood, is the Hindi film industry, which caters to an X amount of audience, which is more North oriented. So yes, that's where I come from. So yeah, so that's, I'm sorry, when I'm talking, I just link things. So
No, it's wonderful.
Divert from your question.
No, I didn't divert. It's very interesting. I want to touch one of the things you mentioned that for me is very inspiring as well, and knowing you a bit, and as well having friends in common, is in the sense of, for instance, if you look at your background, like you mentioned, you have both a Catholic education, a Muslim background, and then you have, of course, all the Indian multi-religion society. So I want to touch that because I think that's, and I know that you're a very spiritual person. So I think that is quite interesting, because what you have is that you have this big personality on the film that is kind of a national hero in a lot of ways, because Indian people admire you. For instance, I mentioned to a lot of people from India, when I mention your name, wow, yes, it's great. So there's a huge respect, but at the same time, you kept this simplicity and spirituality that makes you very special on that level. I would like to touch that, because that is as well the soul of India, this respect for all the diversity, for all the spiritual, and actually very spiritual as well, but as well so different. It is actually, I don't think anyone can put all the complexity of India in any other country. It's impossible. So I would like to, if you could elaborate a bit on that, which I think it's something that is, you're very strong on that as well. You're part of that in the best way possible.
See, India, like we said, is a religion of many faiths and religions. And that's for people, for every, I think, out of the 7.4 billion people on this planet, 5 billion believe in some kind of religion, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. And for them, it's a very integral part of their lives. Some faiths demand a lot more practical following, like in the case of Islam, which says you have to pray 5 times a day, you have to fast, you have to do, there are rules and regulations which are more stronger, say, as compared to maybe say Christianity, which is easier on the rules and regulations. Uh, so India has got this huge diversity, and that has kept people their belief in faith and God and in a way destiny, and has also brought people together. Of course, there are always the political people who want to create the divide, and the easiest thing to use is religion in India. Like Marx had said, it's the opium of the masses. Religion is the opium of the masses. I think it was Marx, right? I think so. Or was it Lenin? I think it was Marx. So uh, it is in a way, but if it is used constructively, if faith can make you a better person, then it's great. But if faith gives you something which is making you hate people and saying they don't belong with me or you treat them differently, then I think that faith, something is wrong there, or you're not understanding it right. But religion in India is an extremely important. And it is strange. Sometimes it's not right because people start identifying you with your religion. Oh, you are Javed, so you're Muslim. Oh, you are Ashwin, so you're Hindu. So you're Kartar Singh, oh, you're Punjabi. And that is a bit too much in India. I don't think it should be there, because why do I have to fill a form where I have to state my religion? I don't believe in that. I don't agree with that. You know, I'm an Indian. I'm a citizen of this country. I'm a well-wisher of this country, and I follow the laws of this country, and that's what it should be. Yes, I understand which state are you from. Some people like, brother, oh, you're from this particular, like in America, or you go and they say, oh, or in England, oh, you're from Birmingham, or you're from Leeds, you're from Bradford. So in the States, in America, I say, oh, you're from Tennessee, okay, Arizona. That's the reference. They won't say, oh, you're Jewish, or you're Christian, or you're Muslim, or you're Roman Catholic. So that definition here is a little more underlined in India, and it's become a little more so. And I think, you see, there is a beauty too. I've seen that how people celebrate each other's festivals out here, and it's beautiful, And but suddenly now it's become a little like suddenly, oh, this us and them, and this whole divide that people are being made conscious that, oh, you are not one of us, you are them. And so somewhere that's because of politics purely. It's not the people. The people. But yes, religion can brainwash you if it's used in a very covert, conniving way. People do use it, and but I think for me, I feel all religions have a common thread. They all speak some basic universal human values, and there's a lot of love. There's a lot of connectivity, taking care of each other. All religions do say things like that, and if you know come together and unite on a platform which is saying, okay, let's say these are the common things we all say, all our religions, your religion, my religion, his religion, and they say, let's take the things which are common, and you'll find a lot many things which are common than the things which are uncommon. So that's enough ground to come together and say, fair enough, if you want to pray like this, and I want to pray like this, and I want to pray like this, fine, you connect with your creator. That's your way of creating. If you feel you know something more and you're more enlightened, and you feel that you've come to a conclusion because of certain research you've done, and yeah, discuss it. Fair enough. Don't need to fight about it. Like, there's a healthy discussion about everything. I mean, people have, like you said, they get way vociferous about, oh, I'm a Man U, or I'm a this team supporter, I'm a that team supporter, or so everything has a supporter somewhere. Similarly, religion will have its supporters, and they will speak about it and say, no, no, mine is right and mine is better. But that, I said, if you come on a platform which is having a healthy debate where I would genuinely want to know, so why do you do this? Or why do you say this? Or why do you believe this? And you ask me the same question. If I want to seek the truth, I will ask those questions. The point is, sadly, and I come to this, I will tell my friend, oh, I will not let you buy this car. Are you crazy? This car is the worst thing you can do. It's like you'll run for a week. They have no good support system. It falls apart in like 3 years. Or if I say, oh, you cannot buy these stocks and shares. Are you crazy? And you actually get literally angry with people you care for or who are your friend. And I will not let you buy this, or I will not let you do this, or you can't drink this. It's bad for you. because you care for them and you're their friend. But I'm not allowed to say that about religion, which I find very strange because, oh, that's very personal. Well, me buying something or liking something is also personal, but you say that you should not eat this, it's not good for you, this harms you because you care for me. So I think religion similarly should be treated, but yes, that is if you know about it. Now, the problem is most of us who are born, we are born in a certain faith, whether you're born in Judaism or Christianity or Hinduism or Islam, you are born and you take that for granted. Okay, this is right, and that's it. You don't want to know more, and you think, no, that's it. This is all I need to know, and that's perfect. And there's a wall that, oh, this is right, and that doesn't belong to me. And people have these walls. And what, for me, my personal journey, I had to think, and I had to first, because I come from this multi-faith, amazing place here. So I learned so much about so many different faiths, but I had to get out of the box, which was my comfort box, and think, oh, I'm born a Muslim. And then I had to get out of the box and ask questions and know, what do you say? What do you say? And have my personal answers, which satisfy me. If I get the answer, because I'm generally, I cannot be biased. If I'm biased, I'll never find the truth. I have to get out of the box and ask questions. So I think that's a personal journey people take. And that's a journey I took for myself. I can't speak for everybody, but I think it does help because you come to know so much about everything around you, and then you choose what you feel makes sense to you. That's all. So my journey was that. And I think India, like I said, there is the good and the bad, where religion can be beautiful and religion can become really ugly if it is used for these political games by people. So yes, that's in short where I have come to and learned from. And yeah.
Oh, that's very inspiring. I'm completely, and I think that is very special because, especially nowadays, religion is being used not necessarily to unite. And in history, we've been seeing this, but there's moments that things become critical. So one of the things to contrapose to that, and is very special on your career, is that you've been in probably, I don't know, 60, 70 films, at least feature films, and then television, and a lot of other things. And as well, we've been a comedian, and as well as a comedian, you are very well known to create a fantastic, I would say, humanity in the sense of expressing emotions, dancing, and doing a lot of things. And I think that is one of the things that is very special with your career, because you not only you are a very well recognized actor, but as well you've been creating and being a comedian is very important, because making people smile, making people happy, it's a very difficult thing. I want to touch that because I don't know if someone asked you about that, but I would like to touch with that, connect to that, because it's a very intense thing at the same time.
Okay, see, like a comedian, I'm not a professional stand-up comedian, like how in the West. In the West, when you say comedian, it refers to.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
I'm an actor in the films. Yes, I do a lot of comedy films and comic roles. I do a random stand-up comedy here and there sometimes, but I'm not a professional stand-up comedian. My father, again, from a child actor to being a leading man to becoming a comedian in the movies. So when I say comedian, I refer to films right now. He told me something very beautiful. He said, 80% of this population in this country, they are poor. They've got too many things to worry about. There's too much tension in their lives. So if you can do something which makes them smile and laugh, I think it's a great service. And he's saying, that's my job. A lot of people say, oh, you are doing loud comedy, or it is slapstick. And my dad's answer was, who is my audience? Am I catering to a very educated Western audience? My audience is mostly illiterate. They are not well educated. They understand simple humor. That is why great comedians like Charlie Chaplin or Laurel and Hardy, or even Marx Brothers, they worked so much more because they bypassed language. They did something which everybody could understand, or in contemporary times, Mr. Bean, for that matter. So you have to cater to a wider audience. The moment you restrict yourself to a language, then your audience becomes so much smaller, because then, oh, I didn't understand that line. What did it mean? But when you are like at the examples I gave, they didn't have there's so much of diversity in languages, and the dialects, every 100 kilometers, every dialect is changing. So how do you keep people together? So it has to be simple comedy. And now it's a little more evolved because people have evolved, and the educational level, the cinema has evolved. So times are different. But he was very clear. He's saying, that's my audience. I don't have to listen to some critic or some scribe sitting in some skyscraper and saying, oh, this is too loud. I don't care about that. My audience is this. If they love what I'm doing, if they understand it, that's my job. They pay me, not the scribe or the critic sitting in some fancy skyscraper. My people who are buying the ticket and seeing me is that man, that rickshaw driver, that farmer. He's my audience. I have to give him back for his money's worth what he wants to see, not what you want me to do. So he was very clear, and I think that was a lesson I learned. And so cinema, like being a comedian, you're right. It obviously is a stress buster. I think that's why a lot of today's the film which do well, the mass films which are doing the bigger numbers, they will always have a lot of entertainment. They will not be the dark kind of films. They will have the love, the action, the funny stuff. It's a potpourri. Bollywood, like, okay, the term has become common now, but it is this great potpourri of human emotions, of anger, of love, of music, of dance, of action sometimes. So I think it has to be a combination. That's where it works. If you look at the films which have done the bigger numbers, they are all films which are having a great mix of this. It's like, it's not a single, it can't be a single dish. It is a dish which combines so many different elements. And that's what Bollywood stands for. I think in the West, when people look at it, they find there's a lot of stress busters there. Oh, wow, you've got these great musical numbers. You've got these song and dances happening. And there is the human emotions of the mother and the wife and the brother and, society and country. And so I think all these things combine. But like you said, yes, the comedy, the funny stuff does make a difference because it appeals to people more. So I think even the biggest of heroes, like if you look at today, Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan, they incorporate a lot of funny stuff in their films, even in their roles. So they will do that funny stuff in the films because they won't be totally serious or one-dimensional. They are multi-dimensional, the characters, for it to work on a mass level. So I think comedy is a very integral part of Indian cinema, not just Hindi cinema, of Indian cinema. It is. So even if it's incorporated in the script in some way, maybe some other character will be doing it, maybe not the leading guy, but there will be a comic element which is there, especially like we said, which caters to a wide audience. So I think, yeah, it does play an important part. Like I said, and there's a reason because there is so much of sadness, there is so much of despair around in society. They want to break away from that. So that's why comedy works for us.
So you've been in your career that is one of the most amazing careers in Bollywood and actually in film in the world. You've been actually having a lot of iconic roles. So I would like to touch. I don't know if it's not my expertise. I'm not an expert in Bollywood by any chance, but I love it, and I've been learning a lot. And there's a sense of color, like you said, music, rhythm, comedy, but as well a sense of life. But as well on the top of this, you've been as well making a bridge with very big iconic figures worldwide. You've been dubbed Mickey Mouse for India, Goofy, Don Carnage, and as well you script the Hindi version of Disney's Jungle Book 2. So how do you see these different cultures and as well bringing as well all the Indian great films? It's a big career that comprises a lot of different things.
Yeah, like I've dubbed for Mickey Mouse in India. I've dubbed for Sher Khan the tiger. I've done a character called Don Carnage, which is a Disney thing called Tailspin, a television series. Uh, I do that because for me, it's just an extension of my talent and what I would like to do as an actor. It's like, for me, I have like what I say to myself, if you rest, you rust. And your talent has to be continuously honed in some way or the other. So whether I do a voiceover or I sing a song or write something, I think all these are uh, channels through which, for me, I take out my creative energies and keep alive as an entertainer. And so I loved, like I said, Jungle Book 2. I did the adaptation in Hindi, uh, and Incredibles, which was the first Incredible Pixar. I did the adaptation and wrote it, and I also played the main antagonist. Uh, so I think all these exercises do have helped me in big time uh, creatively as an actor. I was a part of the first original dance reality show, probably if not the world, then in Asia at least, because there was no other reference point of a dance reality show anywhere in the world when we started our show called Boogie Woogie, which was in '96. And so yeah, that went for 17 years, and it was no season; it was every day, 52 weeks
Wow.
throughout. Like every week, there's no like season. It was like throughout. You're there, you're watching. It became a household name, Boogie Woogie, and it was a platform which got the dancing talent in this country from little villages, small towns, really poor people, farmers' children, people who are digging holes somewhere in a village. They came forward, and we saw this amazing talent, and we didn't even realize. But this platform was such a blessing for us because we got to see India sitting on a chair and watching a platform, and we saw India on that one stage, and so many stories, and the grit, the determination. It's amazing what I got from that show. I don't think any school, any experience could have given me that. So that was a big thing, and it became a household name. And today, till today, there are two generations which still know Boogie Woogie, and they swear by it. They love it. And then I used to dub a Japanese show called Takeshi's Cast, a common entertainment. It could be in South America, it could be in Philippines, it could be in India, it could be, so you've got a whole community, a family which is connecting on the internet, on the web, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, and sharing stuff. And, suddenly this man in a village has got this TikTok and he's watching this girl dancing somewhere in Canada.
So, and as well, one of the parts of your career, which is you have a sense of professionalism and as well continuity that is fabulous, but as well, you've been doing a lot of things in advertisement since 1980s, as a model, choreographer, copywriter, producer, and director. So as well, you have as well that part of your career. You touched it before, but I would like to touch on that area because you've been doing a lot of things. So do you want to tell us about this? Because this is as well the evolution of the entertainment industry from television and film, and I'm talking literally film, to digital, and to as well all the mergers of the different entertainment content, as we put it. So I would like to have a background on that work as well, because it's a very interesting component to your work as well.
Yeah, like I said, I started this film. I was in advertising as a model. I also wrote a few very popular copywriting for some advertising campaigns, which I was a part of. And then I did film. Then came television for me. So I was hosting two shows with the biggest cult hits on a music television channel, which was called Channel V, which was an MTV rival in India. It was a homegrown called Channel V. Years did two of the biggest cult shows on that. Then films continued, did a bit of theater, and the digital space came up. And now in the past 5 years, 6 years, it's been there. I have been a part of two web series till now. I got one or two more in the offing. I did a web film for Amazon, Netflix, sorry. So a film I was a part of for Netflix. And so I think, and the medium has changed, but the art form doesn't change. It's like you're still an actor, you're still telling stories. It's just that the medium of watching it on that big screen, and then it came to a television, and now it's come to a little phone in your hand. So it's become much smaller, much more accessible. You know, because when you went to see a movie in a cinema, so you make a journey, go to the cinema, buy a ticket, sit in that seat for those 2 hours, 2.5 hours, watch a film, and then come back home. And you have to watch for cinema actors was so much more. It was like, oh wow, because they are like beyond your reach and they are the larger than life. Then came television, and then they came into your house, and then you had the little remote control, and you said, okay, I want to change, I want to switch you off, I don't want to watch you. Let's see something else, and let's see something else. And then it became, oh, this guy comes in my house every day, so he's like a family friend. Oh, okay, we watch you, you're on this series. And if you really are constipated maybe and something really shitty there, you probably go and watch it, it help you. So yeah, so I think that's changed, but content on that, yes, a new form of content has come up, like we are seeing on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. uh, Shorter content, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes. Yeah. So then it's become, now the web series, again, they've come in between what we call a television series and a feature film. So a feature film has to, for example, translate a 180-page, 200-page book into 90 minutes or 110 minutes. A television series has to go much longer. A web series is somewhere in between where you can flesh out the character, or even a Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was made in 3 parts, and then the Hobbit, and So Game of Thrones is a great example for that matter, or a series which I watched recently called This Is Us, which I felt was beautiful. Things like that can't be made on a feature film, and also not onto a television, just keep extending something. So I think it's a great in between world, and the whole thing of being able to watch something on demand rather than going to a cinema. So that equation changes. So yes, cinema does take a hit sometimes, because it's like, okay, it's not that at one point cinema was the only outlet to go and watch a film. Today I can watch it on my phone. I can watch it on my television, on my computer. So that on demand, we call it video on demand, or that has changed the equation, yes. But now it can't, because of competition from television, from web series, from digital, so small. So I think it's great. This competition coming up has opened up the gate for so much more talent, which otherwise would have been just sitting down. And
do you see that changing any of the status quo, and as well from your experience being so part of the industry, and as well, I think you have a uniqueness in the sense, like you said, that people in India know you transversal, because you have been on television, on film, and on the advertisement, on all the different mediums. But as well, you have this kind of feature films mixed with comedy, with big series on television. So people have been seeing a lot of different medium. So do you see that kind of strengthening right now the Bollywood industry for the next decades? How do you see this kind of the point of situation now of the Bollywood industry, and as well, let's say, the new actors coming right now that are completely different from when it started?
No, so what I just spoke, I think that covered a lot of this territory. But if you want to be a little more specific about what segment or aspect you're talking about,
yes.
Because like I just mentioned, I spoke about how film, television, digital, the web zone, how it has come together, how it's given opportunities for so many more people. And but like you said, yes, there is a competition. It's not monopolizing. Cinema is not monopolizing. So in my time, when I was younger, in the 70s and 80s, 90s, cinemas, like a movie could run for 25 weeks, and it was a celebration, like, okay, 25 weeks, Silver Jubilee, it was called. And then there was 50 weeks and the Golden Jubilee, and there was 75 weeks, which was Diamond Jubilee. So these were jubilees were actually happening. I've seen movies running like that in cinema. We have a world record of a movie called, there are two movies. One was called Sholay, which was 75. It ran in one cinema for 5 years, and not one show, 4 shows. So that was a record for that time. And then there was a film which ran for some 25 years called Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, Shah Rukh Khan's film. So it ran in a cinema because the cinema owner was a fan. So after a point, it became one show in the morning, like called a matinee at 11 o'clock in the morning. And that continued for like some 25 years. So yeah, so we have these kind of stories. But today, 25 weeks and all is like a world of dreams. Like if you run for 25 days, that's a huge thing, because it's all become about 1 week, and you have to make your money in that 1 week. And that's what, even if you look at, say, Hollywood and the bigger films, the first week collection is that's where they make the most. And because you have to get the people into the cinemas and get the maximum release, the maximum amount of prints across the world. And in fact, American films make much more money internationally than in the local markets, in their own USA markets. If you look at the collections of the films like Avengers and Iron Mans and all the big films, their collections are much, much more from outside the USA than in the USA. Bollywood hasn't yet reached that because it's in a language which is restricted, it's Hindi, whereby Hollywood, English is now become a universal language. Everybody understands it. And obviously the appeal is much more because the way it's structured, how society, how they have influenced people across the world, and what I call the Americanization of the world. Somehow America has exported itself, not just its culture and its fashion, but even its values through movies and television. And I call that the Americanization of the world, because that has become like a yardstick, and this is right, and that's how it works. And so sometimes it conflicts with a lot of Eastern culture that, in America, a 12-year-old boy, a 13-year-old boy will come home and say, okay, I've come to take your daughter out on a date. Well, that doesn't work in India. It doesn't work in a lot of Eastern countries, in the Middle East, maybe, or maybe in Japan or China. It doesn't work. But it's fine in the West. But that culture has seeped in and come into the Eastern culture, where kids say, oh, that's normal. They're doing it. Why can't we do it? So it becomes a conflict for parents to explain or to say, like, well, this is not us, But they say, well, it's fine. Why can't we be like this? That's so cool, I can go and kiss a girl who's 14-year-old, and I can talk about sex at the age of 15 and probably sleep with a girl who's 16. And well, cultures differ, and that's sometimes the clash. But influence of television and movies, I think that's huge. That's what has exported everything. I think the biggest exporter of culture, positive or negative, whatever it may be, is cinema and television across the world.
Completely. And I think I would say that probably the next 10, 20 years, Bollywood is going to become more important than the Americanization. I think I see that already in countries like Vietnam, Africa, Middle East. I would say that people are starting to see more. Don't you think so?
No. You know why? Because countries like Africa, Middle East, even China and Japan, they identify with our culture because the common fabric, the base, the foundation of elders, respect, certain things, the do's and the don'ts, we have to get married, we don't, we have to be married to have children, or we don't. So these kind of values are still existent in the African, Middle Eastern, a few of the Far Eastern countries. That's why they identify. They say, at least this is closer to our culture. They prefer their children to watch this rather than so-called the Western culture, because they feel that is too far away from our culture and they fear their kids are going too fast and being sucked into something which they don't want them to be sucked into. Like I said, it's a personal choice. There's the good and the bad. But probably that's why they look at Bollywood, because the core values of family, taking care of each other, love. I think these things, certain societies connect with that more, and they feel they would like to watch these things more. Like we don't have one Father's Day or Mother's Day, because for us every day is Father's Day and every day is Mother's Day, because they keep their father and their mother in some old age home. They'll meet them once, twice, 3 times a year. So they make one day special for them. So they had to invent a day to say, oh, this is Father's Day or this is Mother's Day, and we make them feel special. But in the East, it is not. It is, they are special every day and they're taken care of, but well, that also is kind of slowly changing in certain places, but it's still there, that we take care of each other and the families take care of each other, and they still live together. The staying together with your families is a very integral part of Indian culture. In the bigger cities, sometimes people feel, oh, it's because of real estate, because I can't afford a home, so I'm living with my parents. But a lot of people do prefer to still live with their parents and take care of them. And yeah, I think so. Like I said, so it's a cultural thing. I think cinema and television are huge exporters or importers or contributors to these value systems.
So, and from this, I want to touch your work in terms of social impact and as well in politics. So, how did you end up coming up into politics, and as well a bit of your work before that, because you've been always very conscious of society, and even the way you speak is a very responsibility and the sense of looking at the comedy, but as well the responsibility, which I think is very special of India as well. From all my friends in India, I think that is quite unique.
Yes, because I've always felt that cinema, along with entertainment, also has some responsibility, purely because of the influence it has. You can make a historical film and convolute history for your script, and people who are watching it will actually think, well, this is what happened. Nobody's going to say if it's historically correct or it's authentic. No, because this is what the film showed. And a lot of the people in India, because they just believe it. Yeah, we are a very believing people. We believe anything. So it was important for me, and I made 2 documentaries in 2012 and 13 in Kashmir, called Inshallah Football and Inshallah Kashmir, and both won national awards for best documentary in social awareness. And after that, I try and say whatever. I joined politics because I just felt that the political structure in the country, you see, a lot of people tell us, hey, you're a film actor, you stick to acting, why do you want to get involved in politics? And even when we talk on Twitter, I say things on Twitter and I have my views. You're a comedian, just be a comedian, or just act, or you're a dancer, well, if you can ask for my vote and my vote counts, if my vote counts, then my thought also counts. To your question, I have the right thinking of being in politics. Yes, I was politically aware, but I was like far away. I didn't want to be in politics because I just felt I was not cut out for it. And but what was happening in the country then, I just found there was a lot of corruption and communalism, the 2 biggest dangers to our country: corruption and communalism. And I think between the 2, communalism is the biggest danger. The bigger danger is much more dangerous, especially for our country. So I just felt things were going really bad, and there was no third front. So there was, one party Congress, there was one party BJP, there were a lot of other parties, and I just felt there was something fresh required. So there was this Aam Aadmi Party which just came up, and the way they thought, and what was their agenda, how they thought about it. I think that for me was, well, these are people who want to bring a change. They wanted to bring a change in the system, not in just being elected, because the problem lies in the system, and you need to change certain things in the system. So I liked the way they thought. I liked the background of the people. I just felt this man who's an IIT student, which is one of the most highly respected institutions across the world. He was an income tax commissioner. He ran uh, an organization, NGO of his own. He understood all the aspects of India, what was needed to be understood. He had an educational, very highly educational background. He understood economy. He understood how it worked because he was an income tax inspector. He understood the structure there. He worked with an NGO, so he was a grassroots level guy. So I felt that, yes, they are out to make a difference. So, it was just a knee jerk reaction. I said, okay. He said, what can you do for us? Why don't you uh, join us and fight the election? I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So it was that. It was like not something I was yearning for a political career. I was just like, let's bring a change. Let's try to do something different and make a difference in this country. Certain changes which definitely need to be taken care of. I was in it just for that. I had no aspirations of being a political leader, purely for the sake of, can I make a difference? Can we make a difference and make this country a better country and solve certain problems in this country? That was the intention. So I thought I lost the elections. I stood from a place called Lucknow, which is in UP, which is one of the core territories of India. And I was up against two giants of the opposition parties. And but afterwards, I realized that a lot of things happened and it opened my eyes to a lot more ground level India from a smaller town. And I felt I'm not cut out for politics. You have to be really thick skinned and you need, yeah, thick skinned is the right word. You have to be really thick skinned. You have to take a lot of shit which comes at you. And I can take that as an actor. I'm used to it. You take all the barbs and the comments and the criticism. Uh, but in politics, this is very dirty. It's very, very dirty. And at some point, if you jump into a gutter, you will get dirty, at some point. So I just didn't want to hang around. So I walked away. I just opted out. I support the right people now who I feel are having the right intentions and wanting to make a difference. I'm not affiliated to a political party, but I do support certain people from certain parties. I like the Aam Aadmi Party. I think they are still intentionally, they are good people. They made a difference to wherever they've governed. And but even if there's somebody good in Congress and if they, I feel, are good leaders who will make a difference to this country, yes, I will support. If there's somebody in the BJP who is a good leader who I feel, but somewhere down the line, they bow down to the party hierarchy and the higher ups, and even good leaders are made to shut up, So, yeah, it is. Our country is going through a lot of political turmoil right now. And yes, it's a very, very critical stage we are going under. And hopefully we come out strong. What happened with COVID and this whole pandemic and people, this whole lockdown business, I feel there's a word in the Quran which says al-mizan. Mizan means equilibrium, balance. And it says in the Quran, in certain places, maintain the balance. And God says, I've given you this, I've given you this, all the things I've given you. Maintain the balance. We as human beings, we lost our balance between human beings and between human beings and the planet. So we somewhere upset this balance very, very badly. So whether it's everything around it, like animals, like the ocean, like everything, the trees, the forest, we just upset the balance. We just got greedy. We upset the balance between human beings. We got greedy with each other. We treated them like very inhumanly. People are left to die. People tell me sometimes, they say, oh, these people dying in the middle of Africa, in the desert of drought. Somebody, look, they are in the middle of it, and there's this lava volcano exploded, and the lava came, and destroyed this town, and the flood is hitting this town. Well, who is making these people live where they are living? For me, I mean, okay, so God says, here is this planet. Even if you don't believe in God, there is this planet, and the planet says, yeah, use the best of what I have. Now you come with your guns and with your swords, and you say, oh, these are good things. Let me take this. Oh, you're staying here. I'll kick you out. Go back here, and they push you into a place where there's no water. Obviously, he's going to die because there's no water and there's no food. The land is not fertile. Who has pushed that man there? It's we, the colonizers, the people who've colonized countries. America went into the Europeans went into America, pushed the Red Indians somewhere in the background. We don't even know where they are. You did the same thing in South America. You did the same thing in Africa. The people who are, so the planet has got enough for everybody. You have made one little line and said, this is mine, and that is yours. And humans have done it. Where does God come into this? God didn't make real estate prices. God didn't make stock markets. God didn't make a hole in the ozone layer. God didn't, have these carbon emissions happening. So it's your choice. We have done it as human beings. We have upset the balance. So I just feel, I thought probably these few months will make us realize what we have done as human beings with the planet and with each other. And hopefully we come out wiser and can make the changes. If not, then we are lost, definitely.
Yeah, so I think I want to touch that and relate to what is happening with COVID-19 as well, accelerating all the digital transformation, and as well what is happening in the film industry as well. So you touched on the human part, and as well, this is having a big impact on society. Is actually making us, let's say, being on one end accelerating a lot of relationships like the one we have in here, face to face in different parts of the world, and with a team supporting us in other different parts. But at the same time, not everyone is getting prepared for this, and of course, it's creating a huge economical challenge. And there's also for a lot of people in the film industry, it's creating a huge challenge because a lot of people don't have capacity not making films and not making other things. How do you see this moment in part, and as well? How can we get out of it? Because you're very inspiring. How can we get out of it a bit stronger?
See, one thing I realized after this lockdown, the first necessity for people was food. First necessity. After food, yes, there's medicine, but on a mass level. After food, the necessity became content. Watching stuff on television, on your phone, on your laptop. And that's the world people jumped into because the entire world outside was locked. So the world they could connect and jump into was the internet. And that became the ticket out. It became a lifesaver for a lot of people because can you imagine people living in one room, 10 people, 8 people, especially in places like India and Bombay and a lot of other places where there are people living like 1 10 by 10, 10 by 12 room. 8 people are living there, or 6 people are living there. You'll go mad, you'll go crazy. And, so the only outlet was this television or watching something on your phone or, that's all they had. And that's when I realized that it is a service in a way, making stories for people, connecting people. Entertainment is a staple diet of people in a way. And yes, the models will change, like the cinema models, of course, because of restrictions will change. And probably online content, movies in India, we already have started movies releasing, big films releasing on OTT platforms like Netflix and Amazon. And it will happen for some time, I think, till cinemas open. But I think it's here to stay, this whole distancing precautions, masks, cleaning your hands. I think all these things are here to stay for a while. And but content will be created. It is a very integral part of people's lives, and the business models will change. Like I said, everything. I think all the business, not just our business is what films, yes, but I think the risk factor, what we have in our business is, suppose we're shooting on a set and it's say a floor or a house, and there are 100 people. in that house who are shooting. Now, the people behind the camera can always wear gloves, can wear their masks and be operating the camera, can do the sound. But the people in front of the camera, the actors, or in Bollywood, the dancers or the action people, they can't wear masks and walk around. And the actors, at the most, because they are the main people who are their maximum time in front of the camera, they can't wear masks and gloves. They have to, do scenes together. They have to hug each other, talk to each other, maybe kiss each other, and there are people around you. The highest risk is faced by actors, because if you are in an office or in a factory, you can still keep your distance. You can wear a mask, you can wear a glove, but an actor can't do that. And you can't. Look at any other job. A doctor can still wear this. A bus conductor, a pilot, a stewardess on an aircraft. Any job, you can wear your gloves and your mask and keep your distance, but you can't do that as an actor. So we are at quite a high risk where if we start shooting. So we have to work a way around it. We're trying to, how to make it, because there's the clothes person who will get your clothes, then you're putting on some makeup, your hair. How do you? There's too many departments to go through. So I think it'll take some time. It'll take some time to sort this out because it's a very high risk for the actors. But overall, like you see, the world, yes, the huge paradigm shift in the way it operates. The businesses, a lot of businesses have shut. There's a huge economic, downturn, and huge. It's going to have repercussions in some way, and people fear that it can come to maybe anarchy. It may come into riots. It may result in a lot of things, because if you can't feed the people or give them the basics, they will come out and they'll say, well, my child is hungry, my mother's sick, my father's whatever, I need a support system. And if I don't have that, then they get angry, and it can rent out in a lot of violent ways or illegal methods. It could. So, yes, certain countries are taking care of their citizens, like Canada and the USA and the UK and certain European countries. But what about countries like India, which is like 1.3 billion people? Our economy is not that good. I don't think we can support so many people. It's not structured right. They haven't found an economic solution to at least keep hunger and disease at bay. There is a problem here. I mean, look at COVID. We don't have enough testing. We don't have enough hospital beds. Purely look at the population. Look at America's population is nowhere, or UK's population is nowhere. Not even one state of India. So yes, it is a huge challenge for our country and something to worry about, because while other countries have gone down, they've flattened the curve and they've actually become much lesser. We are still heading to our peak, and we have opened some things out. And I dread to think where it'll, because everybody can't be, like I said, 8 people living in a room. Where is social distancing? How can you do all that? It's okay for people who are living in apartments, and but at some point, and there are daily wage workers. There are about 20%, 30% of people who are unorganized sector workers. It is a huge challenge for this country, and I pray that, and people have come out. A lot of the citizens of this country have really been generous, whether it is industrialists, sports people. A lot of people from my industry have really come out in big numbers and been very generous. But that's still a point. It has to be structured on a government level. So I hope and I pray that we come around it.
So as a wrap up, it's been a lot of things here to digest, and I appreciate the different visions and inspiration as well. So what would be, as a father of a very famous right now actor as well, and as well from a generation of actors, so what would be the? I think well, there's a vision of society that is much more negative, and the vision of society that is much more positive. It's obvious that you have a very sense of responsibility, but as well a sense of optimism that is very powerful in your work ethics, as well in the success that you've been achieving, because there's a lot of persistence to do, like you said, sessions every day on television. That's a massive energy, and it drags the attention and all different things. So
Yeah.
what would be what you pass for your audience that will be listening to us, and as well for people in the world that they want to know more about you, and as well understand what is that energy behind you?
Uh, uh, See, I think somebody had said, I don't know who, hope is a thing with feathers. And it's wonderful. It said so much in that one line that you have to let it fly. You have to let it loose. Don't tie down, and let hope fly, and that's what keeps you alive. And uh, optimism, yes, we have to be realist in some ways, but an optimist realist, I think that's a good balance. Uh, Not a pessimist realist, but an optimist realist. That's a good combination. And I think we need to be real about certain things, and everybody's got to pull their socks up and be ready for the worst, whatever comes our way. But human beings have got to, I think, we need each other as human beings, and we have to take care of each other as human beings. In We have to be less selfish. If we start getting attached tomorrow, if I say, oh, I have to keep my money and I can't, but you need just so much. If I'm thinking what happens for the next 50 years and I'm going to stock up for the next 50 years, it's unreasonable. Stock up for 1 year. Fine. I understand that. And the rest, let's see how it can help some other people. So I think if you think like that as human beings, that I have a year's stock for education, for my taxes, for my houses, for running people, paying my wages to people, I can hold it for a year. And then I have this much remaining. Now that kind of what is remaining, I think we need to reach out and see how it can actually reach out and make a difference to people around you, because these are the times when, if you can just balance it out, the balance, so I can't clean the whole world, but if for example, if I've got a broom in my hand, I reach out wherever my hand can reach. If I can just clean that area which is around me, and you clean your area around you, and you clean your area around you, and if everybody just thinks like that, the world becomes a cleaner place just by you taking care of your area around you. So I think if you think, you don't have to think big. It's just that, can I keep my area clean? So if I just take that responsibility and say, that's what I can do and that's the best I can do, I think if you apply that, there's a lot of hope in the world. Yes, it can be sorted, but we just need to be a little more generous towards humanity.
Well, that's a great way. So I think, well, I have a lot of questions more, but I think we've been in 1 hour now, so I'll wrap up here. So I don't know if there's any more final parts.
Yeah,
I'm very
up to you. You have
yeah,
anything more you can ask? I'm fine.
no, I'm particularly interested in this sense of I one touch, probably one of the last things is the one of the things that inspired me a lot in India, and I think in your work as well that I've been studying, is this sense of at the same time entertainment, sense of responsibility, and sense of community. But this is very difficult, especially for young people, because right now, like you said, we are all in technology, and most of us wake up and go to sleep in technology. And at the same time, we have a very well, in one end, we advance a lot technological wise, but we still have a lot of challenges in a lot of different ways. So how do you see this sense of community and sense of responsibility, which is very Indian as well and very unique, but at the same time, all this sense of celebration that you have in Bollywood? I would like to hear that from you, because I think it's a very beautiful, very, very complex thing to explain to someone that is not Indian.
Yeah, like I said, cinema represents India. And the diversity of India and the love of India and the value system of India. All that is part of our cinema. And you see that, so it can bring people together. I said it has uh, the impact, especially in India. Uh, but I think any film, like let me give you a good example of a film, of a scene from a film which has stayed in my mind for so many years. There was a film called Schindler's List, made by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all know the story, whatever. I won't go into the story. But in the end, when uh, uh, X amount of Jewish people are saved because of this man, Schindler, and the war is kind of getting over, and they find out that, okay, now we are free and X amount of people have been saved. And they come and they are literally, they're thanking him. And he can see in their eyes the gratitude they have. And he starts, because he was what he was, see, he was a businessman. So when he started employing these people who were the Jewish prisoners by the Germans, he was employing them for purely business reasons. So when he started off, it was okay, I'm getting free labor and I can manufacture these things and make a lot of profit. But while he was doing it, somewhere he converted and said, what is being done with these people is not right. And maybe I can save a few people if they start working for me instead of them going into these death camps. Maybe if they're working for me, they will be saved. And how this one other man who, which was played by Ben Kingsley. So
Ben Kingsley, yeah.
How he slowly tries to manipulate Schindler. Schindler finds out that he's being manipulated. He gets angry, and then after some time he realizes, but it's okay. Would I probably, these people, what is being done to them is not right. And then he starts to save them, and and then he finds out that the German officer knows that he's trying to save these people. So now he has to bribe that German officer, in the process letting go of his profits, and making less of a profit, but now he wants to save these people. So this very complex process of a man going from a very shrewd, sharp businessman to becoming a savior of humanity and understanding human life. And in the end, when they're thanking him, he starts crying. And this is where I'm coming to. He looks at his watch and he says, this watch, I could have saved 2 more. This car, I could have saved 10 more. That stuck into my head. That for you, it's a car, but that is 10 people's lives. If you look at it, I mean, especially in a country like India, you have a car which is costing you maybe $200,000. That is 5 people's lives or maybe 10 people's life. In a country like India, it's 20 people's life. $10,000 is what they would probably earn in a whole year. Not even. I'm talking middle class. That's middle class. So $10,000 a year is the middle class approximately. I mean, so you've got like what? 20, 30 people whose lives can be made into different just with one car. So if you think like that, that impacted me. Maybe it impacted a lot of other people. What that line said. Okay, for you it's a car, but it's 10 people. It's the lives of 10 people. So cinema can have that kind of an effect, and it can leave it deep within you, which can make a difference inside you, within you as a human being. And maybe it can come out and channelize itself into a more productive way. So I think cinema can do great service if it is made right with the right intentions. So yes, I think it's a great balance if you can balance the entertainment with something to say, which could be a solution to a problem. It could be a thought, or something positive, or something critical. Everything has a language. It could be satirical. So I think cinema is a fantastic medium. It's not a medium. It's extra large. Yeah.
I'm with you. So another question is just probably wrap up because we are in 1 hour and 40 minutes, stuff like that. But one of the things that I would like to ask right now. So in terms of all the things you did in your career, and you did a lot of things, fantastic films, from feature films to television to representing some of the iconic even personalities worldwide. So what would be like the things that you really highlight and that you really had the special moments and that you want to share with your audience and other people around the world?
No, I didn't understand it. Like,
No, so
question.
my question is, what would be the highlights from your career, from the films, from the television, from all the representation, even comedy and different things, that you would like to highlight here for us and for people that will listen to this?
Okay, so there are something which happened with my father, which he narrated to me, which remained with me. He met a director called John Frankenheimer. John Frankenheimer made classic films like The Train and Birdman of Alcatraz and Grand Prix and The Horseman. So he was a lot of action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he made Ronin later on in his life.
Yes.
My father, somebody told that he's on the same flight. He was coming back from a shooting. My father was coming. So he had come from a shooting. So my father had seen his film. So he went up to him and said, "Hello, I'm a big fan of your film." So he looked at my father thinking, okay, another fan. And then my father said, that particular film, The Train, and there was a shot in that where the train goes above the camera. And how did you shoot that? So then he was a little up. Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's been watching my films with a keen eye. So he said, please, sit down. But that told him that, he's an actor in a Hindi movie. So obviously he felt like a film person. But him remembering a shot from a film of his was a big thing for him. So he came and told the story. And so there are two lessons from this, which I think was fantastic. So one was, he said, well, when I was shooting The Train, and it was the climax for my film, and it was a big set put up, and the train will come and go get derailed and go off the track, and the whole accident happens. So we had 8 cameras in different positions. This is the 60s, I think. Maybe early 60s or 50s, I don't know. So he said I had 8 cameras, and there's too much of preparation because it has to be right, and it's safety measures. And so there was a Japanese camera operator. Okay. So because, see, the cinematographer is one. The 8 cameras are operated by different camera operators. So there was a Japanese camera operator who kept asking him, "Sir, where do I put the camera?" And because there was so much on the director's head, he said, just put it somewhere, wherever you feel it, fine, just fine. So the Japanese camera operator, he dug a hole wherever he felt like, and he went and sat in the hole, like a small hole, and sat inside with his camera in his hand. When the shot happened, John Frankenheimer said that when the blast happened, the train did not go where it was supposed to go, and it went somewhere else. Now that created a whole problem, and the train went, this Japanese guy was sitting in the hole, it came right towards him, and he was holding a camera, and the whole shot of the train coming, and he went inside the hole, and the train went above. He's saying, out of the 8 cameras, I kept that one camera going for my entire shot, because I could never have got that shot. Secondly, he because he was shooting horsemen in Afghanistan, so he was like sunburned and peeling skin. So my dad said, you guys really work hard to make good films. So he tells my father, and it's very strange coming from a person from a country like India, where a man who earns 5 rupees will spend 2 rupees to go and watch a film. For him, he's spending half his earning or 30% of his earning to go and watch your film. So what is your responsibility to make that 2 rupees worth for him? Now that approach to filmmaking, that how important it is for you to put in your 100% and more to give that worth to that man who's buying your ticket and coming to watch it. It may be a lot of money for him or her. So I think this is applicable to all aspects of any kind of work, because, especially in the movies, if you approach movies like this, that we have a responsibility to that audience which is watching this film. I think it's such a wonderful lesson to be learned. For me, in my personal life, I have done movies and nothing untoward which has happened. I've had a smooth kind of working through the movies I've made. Yes, I've come across people. When I made my documentaries, I learned a lot from the people on the ground, and I learned that what is shown in the media is sometimes totally different from what is ground realities. So I learned that in Kashmir, and a lot of things happen inside which you don't see and which is kept quiet, which is hidden, and sometimes there are extremities taken, in the hands of those in power. Uh, but overall, like I said, there's so much of love given to you by people who watch your work, who say thank you for making us laugh, or making us dance, or making our children happy. And so I think for me, I feel blessed that when people come up to you and say this, and they say, "Can we click a picture with you?" A lot of people I see get irritated or impatient and saying, "No, no, no picture." But for me, it's like these are the guys who have made you. You are what you are because of them. And if you've chosen this field, you have signed up for this. This is part of the contract that yes, you have to be nice to them. They are your audience. They are the ones who make you or break you. So yeah, be nice to them. It's very important. I think it's a part of what we are as actors. And if you want your privacy, then don't go out in public. Then go stay in some island. You sign up for this. There is no privacy once you become an actor. You go into public, you are a public figure. They will approach you because they love what you do. You've been giving them, so they will want to maybe come and be near you or ask you something, or click a picture, or what, an autograph, which is fine. That's, you're blessed to be that. There are people who nobody even comes and asks them if they're dying. Here, there are people coming and wanting to be near you. So enjoy the moment, bask in the sunshine. So yes, and like you said, if you can keep yourself balanced, your head balanced, your feet firmly on the ground. So I think it's a wonderful profession if we can give it back and treat it with respect and not be not misuse it, so called, to say. I think it's a wonderful profession to be in as an entertainer, and to tell good stories, to make a difference to society through our films. It's very nice. I read somewhere, successful people change the world by their decisions, and unsuccessful people change their decisions due to the fear of the world. So I think you have to make the right decision, make the good decision. Go ahead and think with your heart. Sometimes, like in Urdu, there's a poetic line which says, and I translate it, like it is good to keep the heart under the supervision of the mind, but sometimes let it go alone also. And it's a rough translation. So I think it's good to keep the heart in control of the mind, but sometimes let the heart go where the heart goes. So I think, yeah, that says a lot, I think, for me. And so I hope that we as a people, whatever is happening in the world today, we can use our hearts a lot more than just our minds. So.
No, amazing. And I think, well, very inspiring. And I think that's, it's been a fantastic journey, go through your mind and as well for your career. I want to thank you. I'm very grateful for this time that you gave us. We're going to be promoting, I know that we're going to put the links to your profiles. You are very present in social media. There's a lot of things with you about you on Wikipedia. I think it doesn't touch a lot your work as a thought leader, and I think hopefully this interview will show a bit more of your mind and as well this
okay.
Fantastic.
One more.
No, it's a pleasure.
One thing I remembered recently, what was happening, in the world, and what happened in America, and it triggered a movement across the world. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd. There's a lot of injustice everywhere in the world. But because this one thing which triggered in American society was very strong in voicing their opinions, and a lot of countries don't let opinions be voiced because of restrictions We have our own restrictions in our country. We do. And Martin Luther King, he said something wonderful, which again applies. He said, there may be times when we are powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. I think that is so important, and you have to. If you feel something is going wrong somewhere, anywhere, you have to protest. Raise your voice in whatever you can do. So I think there's a story in the Bible too, and which is also in the Quran, which is the same thing when Abraham, which is all the three religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all three of them honor and believe in Abraham as the prophet. And when he was being put in the fire, and this fire was this huge fire, which Nimrod, the king, the tyrant king, was whatever, and all the animals and birds were flying away, and there was this one little sparrow bird which was flying towards the fire, and this big bird asks the bird, "Where are you going? You are too small. Your wings will get burnt." And the little bird said, "I'm going to try and put out the fire. I've got water in my beak." And the big bird laughed and said, "You think that water in the beak will put out that fire?" And the little bird said, "When I die and I go in front of my creator, and when he asks me, 'What did you do when one of my leaders of humanity, my prophet, a good man, was being threatened by this unjust man, what did you do?' And I will say, I could take this much water in my beak and put that, and that's what I could do, and that's what I did. I was with the people who were trying to put out the fire, not with the people who were lighting the fire." So I think these lessons, when that protest of Martin Luther King, the same thing. Whatever you can do, you can put something on social media, you can come out on the street with a placard, you can write something, you can back a social organization with your money, whatever, you give something. I think so that's, in today's times, I think it's a wonderful world, and people are really, today I'm seeing a lot of people speaking up, and it's wonderful too. And you need to speak up, because the moment you keep quiet, they just come on you and just try to suppress you. And it's important for voices of justice to rise up. So God bless everybody, and I hope that we all rise up for justice and for humanity and for making this world a better place to live in for all.
Amen and namaste. Now it's wonderful, and a lot of inspiration, and as well, especially a sense of responsibility, and as well a sense of inspiring people to be better, which I think we need that in the world, and very positive voice. Thank you so much, Javed. It's been a wonderful pleasure.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.